Testing. 1, 2.
Episode 48. We out here.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 48 of the Our 2 Cents podcast. I am the co-host, Admir, and directly across from me, recently traded to the New York Knicks as part of the Kristaps Porzingis package.
You got a better Chris.
That's right. We got the better Chris in the house tonight. How's it going, man? How's everything? School, always with school. I guess till our graves we shall be schooling.
Yeah.
A lull week as January came to a close, which gave us some time to reflect and head back into the Oscars contender pool and check another film off that list. And this week is the Netflix, released. Yeah, it was released by Netflix. Film Roma, directed by...
The guy you went to high school with.
I went to Alfonso. Yeah, me and Alfonso...
Went to Brooklyn Tech together.
Cuaron. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. Yeah, we definitely did. Although we're clearly decades apart in age.
That's fine.
Definitely went to the same high school. Anyway, so Roma tells a story of a young... maid in Mexico City in 1970 and 1971. It is a very grounded film, I would say. But before we head into that, just a quick heads up of this week's episodes. This, of course, will be a spoiler review of Roma, and then the other episode of the week will be a chit-chat about the latest True Detective episode. So we're going to, of course, spoil everything here. And let me get the IMDb for Roma just to give everybody an idea of what's happening. Oh, what a nice sentence. A year in the life of a middle-class family's maid in Mexico City in 1970. Yep, what I had. Yeah, so...
a day in the life.
Yeah, so this film has has quite the push behind it as Oscar season is around the corner. 10 nominations at the awards.
It's a lot.
It's actually tied for the most for a foreign language film with Hidden Dragon, Crossing Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
You directed that.
Who directed that?
That was you, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Before I was born, too. It's great. So this has Best Picture, Best Director, Best Cinematography, I think Best Screenplay. It has a Supporting and Main Actress nomination as well. Probably editing and some other stuff in there that I probably do not remember right now. But, I mean, even that alone is like 7 categories right there. So clearly very hyped in terms of critical response, currently holding it a 96 on Metacritic, which is extremely high. This is absolutely amazing to think that this is a Spanish film in black and white leading the charge in the Oscars. It reminds me of, what was that other black and white film that came out, I think like 6-7 years ago? The French one?
The Artist?
The Artist, yeah, okay. The Artist, yeah. I don't know if that was French or not, but anyway... let's delve into it, Chris. We had the luxury of watching it from the comfort of our own abodes, which you always love.
Love it.
Love. If everything could come out on Netflix, Chris would be the happiest person on this planet. Screw fixing poverty. Get everything on Netflix.
Everything on Netflix.
All right, so you want to start? Give me your thoughts. What you anticipated?
It's going to be a first.
Okay.
On the cast.
Oh, first.
You're going to help me. This is how I felt about the movie. You're going to help me decide what I felt about this movie.
I feel like I do that every week.
No, but this one, it's hard.
It is. It's a very difficult film to...
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
So this one's difficult because I can't really put my infected finger on it. That is currently... Disgusting. Yeah. So I see where I'm conflicted right now.
Okay,
I don't even think I have a full opinion right now.
You can be conflicted.
So Lafonso or Fonzo, as we call him,
the Fonz.
Yeah. I see where this is a personal movie for him.
Very personal.
And you could tell right away.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a semi-autobiographical representation of his growing up in a similar city.
Yeah, and you could definitely see it.
Yeah.
For me. Trying to put this into correct words because you know me, I don't do correct words.
You don't really. Sentences, paragraphs come with great difficulty to you.
there are aspects. You good over there?
I'm fine.
There are aspects that show that it's a well done movie. The technicality of it.
Yes.
Cause like you get from an Alfonso movie.
Yes.
You know what you're getting into from the technicality aspect. And of course, emotion.
Right.
Because there's plenty of that. But then there's there's things that we usually look at that we like on movies, like character progression and all that stuff.
Right.
That you don't get. But then again, I think the aim here from Alfonso was different. Mm-hmm. So that's where I don't know where to go, because I think you have to look at this movie from a different perspective.
Yeah. This is very much a art film.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think you can review this movie, and you can look at it in two ways, right? You can impose your criteria for film on it, which is perfectly fine. I mean, any opinion is a valid opinion. Or you have to take it for what the director makes it out to be, right?
Yeah.
And in that sense, though, you give up a lot of ground in terms of what you can criticize. Mm-hmm. Because this film is very, it's very stylistically unique and set apart from a lot of other stuff I've seen. I haven't seen any other Alfonso film before.
Yes, you have, dog.
Which, no, I haven't. The other one that came out...
Gravity?
I haven't seen it. I never saw that. And then Children of Men, which I've been meaning to watch.
He made Harry Potter 3.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, he did. Harry Potter 3, the threequel. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Really did enjoy that one. But in terms of recent stuff, I haven't seen many of his things. This film is very specific. There's stuff in it that I like. There's stuff in it that I wish could have been better, and we'll go into detail. And overall, it felt like it was too. To some degree, it's too alienating for an audience. I think he made this movie almost for himself at times, as opposed to really thinking about what is a viewer going to take from this, right?
But that's why I think it was on Netflix, though. Perhaps. Yeah, I think he can get away with doing something a lot more personal on a Netflix movie than he can in a wide release. For me, it's like this movie is almost two halves for me. And I can just say it out loud now. The sort of the point where this, and it's not really a half. I guess it's the third of the movie where the riots happen, that this thing goes into another level. And I think at that moment after, it becomes a fantastic film. After that, right? So from that moment where she's going out shopping for her baby's crib, and then that happens, and she goes to the hospital, and she has that moment in the hospital, which we'll go into. And then she goes home, and then there's that day at the beach with the family. So that portion of the film I absolutely loved. I loved it. Mm-hmm. But the beginning of the film, especially the first third, is extremely slow. It is extremely slow. That's an understatement.
I understand what he's trying to do, because I haven't obviously, I didn't grow up in Mexico City, but I've grown up in a country that's developing, right? So I grew up, and there's certain sounds that I found very familiar, right? So the sounds of animals doing their thing, of chickens walking by, of livestock, of just washing the floors, right? Yeah. Washing ceramic floors and stuff like that. So like it brought this weird reminiscing aspect to it that was, faint to me, but very strong to probably the director. Unfortunately, in order to get across, like, he gets across certain character points in these scenes, but to me, you could have fulfilled it with the same. So you could have fulfilled the same point with a much. Again, what do I know, right?
Yes.
But I feel like you could have gotten the point across without having to, indulge so much into some of these scenes. I mean, they're really long at times. It worked. When it worked, it was really great because I wrote this down. He has this tendency where he has a scene play out, and you think the scene is over, but it's not. He'll keep the camera rolling, even if there's other things happening in the background. He'll keep the camera rolling where it was, right? And
it's nice because it brings a sort of humanity to the scene and it brings you into the scene, but it doesn't really, I don't think it adds much to the story is my thing. And so the story for me is very direct and simple up to the point where sort of everything goes haywire at the massacre, right? Mm-hmm. And like I didn't know much about this, but this is set in the backdrop of a very important time in Mexican history. And I did a little bit of reading today. Well, I was supposed to be working. I did a little bit of reading today. And so to tell you, and maybe perhaps to help inform your opinion of the film, the riot that happens.
Yeah.
Okay. The group that Fermin is a part of are called, I'm not going to say it in Spanish, the Hawks, right? And they're supposedly trained by the Mexican government and the CIA.
Jeez.
Their goal was, allegedly by the CIA, their goal was to disrupt any potential student uprising that was to happen in Mexico. Because a year earlier, there had been some similar student rebellion / uprising, and the government, completely squashed it, but it led to the death of, I think it was 30 or 40 something people. So the government had set this group up, the Hawks, trained by the CIA, to squash any other potential uprisings, right? Mm-hmm. And the student demonstration, although not an uprising, gave them an opportunity to hit back at these protests, right? So it was very much in the Cold War era of U.S.-backed dictators versus left-wing educated Marxist, whatever you want to call them on the other side. And there's actually a scene in the scene where she goes to see Fermin in the field, in the soccer field.
Mm-hmm.
He
Great
talks,
scene, by the way.
Yeah, he talks about. We'll go into it too, but he talks about Fermin does about this white guy who's teaching them. And there's a brief moment of you can actually see a person in the background with a CIA hat on, right? Uh-huh. So he's clearly. He's very intentional with letting you know where this film is taking place. Right. But for me, I feel like up to that point, the political strife is so far in the background that it's not even impacting the characters. It's just like, you hear things, right? And it works two ways for me because it's sort of how we live today. Mm. We hear shit from the news all the time. Does it change our daily course of our life? It doesn't. You could hear some crazy shit in the news, and we generally do every other day. Does it change what time we go to work, what we do in our, in our downtime, what we do at night, what movies we watch? It doesn't. So these people still go on with their lives. So, there's an aspect of humanity in that. But I feel like perhaps you could have explored it more. I don't know. I don't know how you would take that information.
Well, thanks for the history lesson, by the way.
No, yeah, of course, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you thought incorporating all that would drive the narrative that this the Cleo would be going through more hardships, and maybe you sympathize with her a little more.
There's this mention of there's this class struggle of she's not like white Spanish,
right.
Cleo, right? There's a clear racial distinction in this film. She's working for a white Spanish family, what it seems like. Mm-hmm. She is native to Mexico. She looks like she has native ancestry in Mexico. And in fact, she speaks another language aside from Spanish. Like, I don't know if you noticed in the subtitles, you have two types of subtitles, right?
I thought that was like a botch.
No, it's two types of subtitles. When it was the brackets, she was speaking some sort of her native tongue. And I mean native as in, Mexican native. And then Spanish, of course, you got the regular sort of subtitles, right? So there's this distinction very early on, a class distinction and a cultural distinction. And of course, it's sort of mentioned here and there how her family suffers from the government coming to take her land, right? And so there's this... Even when she spends Christmas, she spends it at this, it's called a hacienda, right? So it's this giant sort of piece of land that white owners have. And they speak English, right? These people speak English, so they're clearly also maybe American, or at least they know American people. So there's this very, very clear distinction. It's just, for me, it's always just there. It's always just there. It's always just there. Now, if the intention of the film is to make this point of just a regular person going through their life, and they just so happen to be in a time period where, shit's happening, basically, okay, I guess that's fine. But I feel like, what about that? Like, what is it supposed to show? Is it just supposed to show this sort of everydayness about us and sort of what we live? Is it supposed to be a film about the everyday person or everyday women in this case in the 1970s in Mexico City? This is also a very female-centric movie. So I don't know. I don't know what the intention was, and I feel like that's why. And it may have gone over my head. It very well may have. Right? I'm not skilled in breaking down all these films, but I don't know.
All right, so rebounding off your statement, well, that's why I said I'm conflicted about this movie, because I don't think I know where Alfonso was going with this. And again, maybe it did go over our heads.
Maybe, yeah. It could have been a piece for himself too, man.
Well, that's the thing. It's a very personal story. Yeah. It's OD personal.
Yeah, it's one of those things where maybe he's inviting us into his world.
Yeah, how I felt about it was that we were eavesdropping.
Yes, exactly.
You know, we were kind of they served as our eyes, basically. That's how we were like looking at it. I mean, clearly you know more about the backstory than I do.
Yeah, I mean, just the historical stuff I was reading into, because it seemed like that riot especially looked absolutely nuts.
All right. Let's talk about the pros and cons.
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead. Yeah,
we'll go right in. For me, there's not a pacing issue because I think it's slow throughout.
Yes.
So I can't say that the pacing of this movie was so skewed.
Yeah. I mean, even the scenes that you think would require great pace.
Right.
Like when she saves the kids in the ocean. She's sort of like walking to the kids. Yeah. It's nothing like mind-bogglingly, frantic. Right.
So yeah, there's no pacing issue, but it's just, I mean, I think excluding the riots, because that's pretty the most...
Yeah,
the one you're like I think drawn into the most. I think Alfonso he does his thing. The cinematography, the shots here are beautiful. I think.
Oh, this is definitely winning cinematography.
No, it is.
I think it's a hands down for cinematography.
So see, I'm going to disagree with you. The shots where he kind of stays on it. Like for example, I'm going to use the theater scene as an example.
Yep.
That's the one that stands out the most. I think. When he does that, it draws I think it triggers the emotion of the viewer because you're like, damn, he's really not coming back now.
Yeah.
Everyone knew he wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
I hated that guy.
Yeah.
He was such a piece of garbage. Man.
Yeah.
Some false ass Jackie Chan moves he's got going on. Get the hell out of him. Yeah, but besides that, cinematography shots are there.
Yeah.
And I think
let me ask you this, right? So that scene, it's a great scene, and it's sort of part of the example of what we were talking about lingering in a scene, right? So I want to ask you this: do you think he can make the same, or rather, what is his intention of extending that scene for that long, as opposed to she looks back, she looks in front, she looks back, she looks in front? We get the gist that he's not coming back. And then he cuts it, and she's outside now, whatever it is, right? Whatever the next scene was. So what do you think is the point of having that extended 15, 20 seconds?
I guess it goes back to the eavesdropping aspect. Because it's like I think it's like it seems like you're looking at it from a live perspective. I think you could have cut off the scene after that, which is her sitting down at the thing.
And yeah, so there's this continuation of her waiting, right?
You didn't have to do that. I think you could have just cut it off there because we knew the element. Right. I mean, we knew he wasn't coming back.
Right.
Oh, so another shot I thought was really good.
Yeah, go ahead.
The father, the entrance of the father.
Oh yeah, in the first time. Yeah.
I thought it was so cool.
In the car, yeah.
Yeah.
You get a sense. Here's the thing, though. Do you think he kept up with the character he built up in that scene?
No. See, that was a letdown a little bit,
right?
Because this might be me just
projecting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is when I saw the entrance. Because I think they were done on purpose. Those shots, so he cuts into some here and there.
Yeah. You don't see his face.
The precise parking.
Yes.
And not going in.
Yeah.
And if you realize the contrast between the mom and him.
Yeah. Well, the mom. Yeah. Comes in all drunk too, yeah.
I expect a head honcho
type
of character, which he kind of was.
Kind of.
But
we never really know him. He's a piece of shit. We really don't know him.
But then again, and that's another lost thing in the shuffle.
Yeah. They're not inherently interesting people.
They're not. And I don't know. Are you trying to show the
everydayness? Yeah.
The demise of a family?
Yeah.
That's financially there.
Yeah.
But I guess emotionally detached. Or
Yeah.
are you trying to show the hardships that maids, is she a maid?
Yeah, as a housemaid.
A
Yeah, I guess
housemaid
so. Yeah,
go
live-in.
through at that time. I think you could have stuck with that one because
Yeah. I mean, I sort of on that point. So the actress, I have her name here, is Yalitza Aparicio.
and she's great in this movie.
She's great, right? There's very few things I know about her though. Like she has to do so much acting with just her face because she doesn't say a lot in this movie, and it's also because the character she's playing. I think this is her first role ever. This is somebody who hasn't had the sort of experience in a film, so I feel like she's playing a role. She's very green, obviously, and so to throw her into now give me a monologue would have been absolutely insane. But like, I don't know much about her family, where she comes from. You get senses of this.
You just talk about it
about her
here.
village, about her mom facing this issue with the government. But I don't know much. I don't want to say she's vanilla because that would be incorrect because there is some complexity to this character. But at the same time, she is too even keeled for too many parts of this movie. The only time you get a sense of who she is at the end, when she breaks down and she tells her, like, I didn't want that baby to be born, right? That's the only time you get that sense. It's a 2 hour and 15-minute movie. That's our protagonist.
You had a lot of time.
That's our protagonist.
Well, here's the thing. See, I feel like her reactions, I think they were kind of realistic and natural. I understand
it fit the character.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, because I think when she portrayed someone that thinks that they're not allowed or obliged,
or she hasn't ever. Yeah.
she hasn't ever, that because I think she views herself as lower tier.
Because that's the society she's in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
she's just like, I don't think I have a right.
Yeah. Constantly keeping it in. Yeah, definitely.
You see that a lot. She holds
Yeah.
it in really
Yeah.
well, and
Yeah.
I think that's a strong point to her acting.
Yeah.
Maybe it was intentional, maybe not. I do think it just got the point across, though.
Right.
Because I feel like if she overacted, then
No. I definitely don't want it to just. I don't mean like I wanted to see her have more extreme emotional scenes. That's not what I mean. I just wish I had learned more about her.
No, I feel you.
Like I don't know much about her. Even the interaction she has with the other maid, Adela, I think is her name. I like they just talk just regular shit, right? So I'm not really getting into any incredible. You get some insight, but it's not anything incredible about the character of who she's playing. And again, my issue is this is the protagonist. But again, I feel like Alfonso's making the point here. The protagonist is time moving forward and shit happening to you and in the background. But it makes it literally, I read today, and I forgot, I think it was a Variety interview. It makes it feel like a documentary and not really a movie because there's no real protagonist moving things along in this film. It's just shit sort of happening, right? That's what it felt like a lot of the time. And that's why it felt slow. Life is generally slow in the moment, right? Time doesn't go by. You don't feel a month go by or a year go by fast. And this movie makes you feel the year before you get to the New Year's scene and then after, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it really bogs you down in that. But at the same time, to me, it's like, is that it? Because this is being held up as the best movie of the year.
So,
that's
okay.
my thing.
We're good. So,
and we're bouncing around all over the place. What the hell we're talking about?
Before we get into is there any scenes that you want to bring out that stood out?
I mean, the one scene for me that absolutely shook the shit out of me was when she has the failed. That was an absolutely no Jesus. That was an absolutely horrific scene to watch. Horrific.
Yeah, I think that
I can't watch that again.
It established that I think it just brought everything full circle.
Oh my God. First of all, great shot, just film wise technically. It's a really clever way I don't want to say clever like it's conniving, but very intuitive way of showing what was happening. And oh my God, you just wanted that scene to end. Dude, holy shit.
And she holds him.
Oh man, it absolutely broke my heart into 1,000 pieces, man. Absolute 1,000 pieces. That scene for me, if this does anything at the Oscars, that's what I'm gonna remember this movie for. Is that scene because it's heartbreaking, and it's one of those scenes where his lingering is to maximum effect. Maximum effect because there's no cuts.
Yeah, there's not.
There's no cuts. She gives birth. They try to resuscitate the kid. They can't. The kid dies. She holds him. It's all one shot, which is amazing because it doesn't give you a break on the emotions it's hitting you over the head with, right? And so that his technique works well there. But like in a scene where she's mopping, for example,
you don't really need it.
like I didn't need it for that long, right? Now I don't know what the sweet spot is between the length of a scene where it becomes overdone versus correctly done or whatever you want to call it.
I think it's subjective.
It is. Oh, it's incredibly subjective, and he clearly wanted to get, I feel like, the message across of everydayness in this movie, and it's very much that, and it screams everydayness in that scene especially. But that's just absolutely heartbreaking. I don't know, what other scenes do you have?
The beach scene.
Yeah,
I think well, first of all, the shot of her like kind of walking.
Yeah,
and you just see
it's this great tension he builds up without changing anything. He doesn't change anything. It's just a shot. His shot. He does this a lot in the film where he has the camera just pan.
Yeah,
just back and forth.
It's a simple camera technique, but sometimes it has the most effect.
Yeah, and like she's like walking to the water, I'm like, okay, where the hell are we going now? Are we all drowning now?
She's saying the names, they're not responding.
They're not responding. She can't swim.
So you're just like, I thought for a split second, I'm just like, I don't think it's in for the story. I thought she was gonna die, like just drowning. But I'm like, does that really fit?
I don't know. Yeah.
But no, I thought it was the hug at the end.
Great shot.
Yeah, it shows.
Which is the poster. Yeah.
They spoiling it, Alfonso.
Literally the last moment of the movie. No, but you really have no idea what the hell's going on.
No, it's the sense of togetherness, and that they know that they need and have each other now.
Yeah.
And I guess he hit a home run with that last shot.
Yeah.
Brought it full circle.
Yeah. I mean, I wish there was more between the relationship between her and Sophia, the mother. I wish there was
seemed like
more. I thought that was a great scene, but I wanted to see more of her. I mean, I was so surprised with her being sort of so accepting of Cleo when she tells her that she's pregnant, because she tells her with this great fear that she's going to lose her job, but the mother doesn't react the way she expects her to react, right?
Well, the relationship between them. Because I was even scared a little bit because there are moments where the mom kind of lashes out at her.
Yeah.
So we're just like, damn, I don't know how she's gonna.
Yeah, I don't know what sort of relationship they have. Yeah, definitely.
Scores?
What did you feel? Last thing, I have one last question. Yeah, what did you feel about it being in black and white? What was the purpose of it? Do you feel?
I guess because I think a lot of people won't know. I don't think most people that watch this, or I guess some like us, a portion of people won't understand the extent of the events that happened, and I guess
we don't.
It is black and white to us because we don't necessarily see
the intricacies.
Yeah. So maybe from a literal standpoint, that's where I'm getting at. I don't know. I don't think it's from an aesthetic standpoint.
I don't know, I was reading pieces left and right today, but this black and white aspect gives it this feel of it being a memory.
Okay.
It's almost like obviously in the past, right? And this is Alfonso's recreation of what he believes his life was like. And so it puts us in this perspective of looking backwards, reminiscing, that sort of feel. And I think a black and white palette definitely emits that emotion on top of everything else, on top of the clothes and whatever. But the look of the film, especially in black and white, does give this feel of, this is somebody collecting his thoughts about what his life was, right? And really, this film would have been very different if it was in color.
Probably.
Very different.
I don't think it would hit if it was in color.
It would have, I haven't thought about this too long, and I really will probably come back to it and think about it, how different it would have been if it was in color. I don't think it would have had the same whimsical feel to it. All those long shots would have felt 1,000 times different if they were in color. I think in black and white, it almost gives you that freedom to do that 20 seconds extra, as opposed to doing it in color. Can't exactly say why, but I don't know. That's what I'm feeling right now.
Alfonso things.
Yeah. So go for your score.
Well, this combo didn't really help out. in terms of my problem in the beginning.
I'm here to inconvenience you.
I'm trying to think. Because, I mean, to an extent, well, I mean, you thought the beach scene was great, right?
Fantastic.
So to a very lesser extent, this is kind of like a Bohemian Rhapsody case, or the last scene.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Or the last act.
Kind of hits the hardest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call it, bro. 3?
This is not,
crazy.
This is nominated for Best Picture. And I was told by a lot of people it's the best movie of the year.
Yeah.
This was 2018, right?
2018.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the best movie of the year.
I mean, I had Spider-Verse first, so what the hell do I know? We both had Spider-Verse first.
I'll make that hot take that it should have been nominated for Best Picture.
I mean, we didn't see...
I'm going to give it... Because I thought Beale Street was better than this.
Okay.
And I gave that an 8.5.
Yeah.
So, to be fair, I don't think it's going to get an 8... Yeah, I'm doing the mathematics in my head.
Yeah.
I'll give it an 8.3.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going 8.0. I was going 8.0 before I heard your thing, so I'm not stealing anything. But yeah, 8.0. I feel like it has... It's a bit too fluffy at times.
I'm being nice, to be honest.
Yeah, give it what you want to give it, dude. Ain't nobody holding a sword to your neck.
To be honest, I was gonna give it an 8 at first.
Well, don't give it a point. I mean, don't give it because it's nominated all that
But
shit.
no, not that.
Yeah.
Bro, freaking Black Panther got nominated.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it
I'm not a fan.
I gave it a 9, so.
Yeah.
TBH, my ratings were kind of correct.
Yo. We did numbers back then.
TBH, my ratings were on point with the nominations this year.
Infinity War, 9.
I think I gave, but that was with the very, very obvious caveat of this is absolutely not a correct, level-headed grade.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, 8. I think what ultimately, his message that he tries to get across for me isn't worthy of a 10, isn't worthy of a 9. That's
Absolutely
all I'll
not.
say. That's
No
all
offense
I'm going to say.
to Alfonso.
I loved what he showed me, and he there's scenes in this film that moved me very much so. However, ultimately, is this better than Black Panther? Probably. Who am I to say? I was young back then, giving grades out. A young rookies giving out 9s and 10s like they were candy on Halloween, like Tootsie Rolls on Halloween. But this is a better film than obviously Black Panther in terms of, especially from the technical aspect of it. I just don't feel like it has enough of the weight that people say it has. That's what I think was missing ultimately from this. And I say it not with the sense that it has no weight. I don't feel like it's one or the other. I just don't feel like it should have hit me over the head like it should have. With a brick. Like it hit me with a sack of potatoes.
Of laundry.
I was just expecting a sack of bricks, and I didn't get the bricks. I got the potatoes. Still a hard hit,
right.
Just not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Right, therefore 8.0, which is obviously is a great score. Yeah, I mean it's no Black Panther, but it's 8.0.
Right.
I'm getting crucified. This is the first score I ever gave. That's going to be the altar at which I fall down on.
Did it match up to Black Panther levels?
Did it?
That's how we're going. That's our rating scores.
Rating scores. Yeah. All right. So, any final thoughts?
Do you think he's gonna win Best Picture?
You know, it actually has a really good shot.
I think it's like the leading candidate.
I think it has a great shot. The only reason I don't think it's going to win, it's going to be because of the Netflix shit, and it's going to be a bit of political move to give a Netflix movie Best Picture. I don't think the Academy is going to do that now. They may do it in a few years. I don't think they're going to do it now.
Well, I think this movie's going to pave the way for
1,000%.
These Oscar movies being Netflix.
Yeah,
which is great because that means we could stay home during these
reviews.
Oxford. Oxford.
I did go once, yes. No, these Oscar caliber movies being available on these platforms, and I wish I had seen it in theaters. I think it would have been a different experience.
Probably.
But yeah, I guess we'll end it here. We're gonna go talk True Detective. Thanks for hanging with us through all 35 minutes of this. I didn't think we were gonna talk that much about it, but as usual, ramblers ramble.
Rams 3 points. What?
Tom Brady made me money. That's all that matters.
That's true.
Six. Thanks for hanging with us. He's at Not D'Amico on Twitter. I am at The Admiracle on Twitter. No, I'm not. at the Blue Yank on Twitter.
Yo, you have burner accounts?
Soundhound.
Just buy. Deuces.
I'm just boss.
Deuces.
SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher. Catch us there. Leave comments, ratings,
YouTube.
blah, blah, blah. And YouTube. That's right. I keep forgetting the
It's
YouTube
all right.
part. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks.
Deuces.
Peace.